Lortel visited him under the heavy patter of rain. It caused her socks to get wet, which was also the reason why she hated rainy days. Ed then asked her if she had been watching the situation from outside. Lortel only smiled slightly at the question as she walked closer to him. She then replied, "Once the academy staff started to interfere, the situation will be quickly obstructed, so we need to carry out our duties before that happens." Ed also thought like that and encouraged her. Although she felt this was a bit sudden, Lortel then asked him, had he ever killed someone? Ed was silent for a moment hearing that. He then replied no. Or rather not yet. Lortel then said that she had too, while chuckling. But, she had often done similar things, because she had to survive. In order to survive, she stepped on the lives of others, and stabbed them in the back so that she would not be betrayed. She had no choice but to do so, and she had lived to forgive herself. But really, that was just self-justification. Golden Daughter Lortel's name was made like this. The fact that she did not deserve sympathy was something she realized. More than anything else, that was why, overwhelmed, she then asked, would he be willing to sympathize with someone like her? She was looking for someone similar. The feeling of loneliness came to both good and bad people. In order to get out of this loneliness, she was forced to look for someone who also entered the mud. Only by finding someone who was willing to sink with her to the bottom of the swamp could she possibly be saved. Of course Ed felt that person was not him. Ed then replied no. She had to take responsibility for her own decision. Lortel was silent for a moment hearing that. She then smiled slightly and said, "Stupidly I said something out of context." She then said that she had to go and carry out her duties. There was not much time. Ed could only stare at her who was now slowly walking away. He then could only sigh. Ed knew Lortel would now discuss the plan and what the next task would be with Alice. After causing the Awfulest Hall Protection Magic Circle to rage and handing over control of the Magic Circle to Wilrain, the low-ranked student representative, that way, Wilrain, as the representative of the low-ranked students protected by all sorts of defensive magic spread throughout Awfulest Hall, would become the boss of the 4th floor, a scenario to subdue Wilrain's restlessness in the midst of the endlessly raging magic circle. Now, he just needed to sit tight and wait for Taylor to break in. If he wasted even a little time and lost, Taylor would rise to the 2nd floor quickly. Getting hit a few times or getting injured during the game might happen, but it was a necessary sacrifice. In the Rose Garden, Janica was surprised to see a carriage coming this late. She felt like someone important had come. She wondered if she and Ed were even allowed to be here. Janica had been in the Rose Garden for some time according to Ed's directions. She also felt that Ed didn't know about the golden carriage. Ed had left her a note. He said that he needed to leave for a while because of some sudden business and asked her to wait for a while. Janica, who read that, then wondered if he was preparing something special. She was really looking forward to it. No matter whether it was the golden carriage or anything else, Janica would never leave the gazebo in the Rose Garden, no matter what, because for 3 days she had been thinking and curious about what story Ed wanted to tell. While feeling restless, she continued to listen to Ed's news from Marilda. Based on the reports from the spirits, Janica knew that not only Lucy, but also Princess Phineas, Belle Maya, Six, and even Lortel were seen visiting Ed's residence. Ironically, the fact that most of them were female students made her heart hurt even more. So she would wait for Ed no matter how long it was. While waiting for the arrival of her sweetheart, Janica then looked at whether her appearance was suitable with her iris flower hairpin, but she then felt that the Cosmos hairpin must be more beautiful. She paused for a moment after realizing that, then decided to return to the Awfulest Hall to change her hairpin, and she headed to the Awfulest Hall under the patter of rain. There were 3 figures now standing in front of the Awfulest Hall. They were Taylor, Isla, and Elvira. Isla then wondered if entering the Awfulest Hall was really the right decision. Elvira was very unhappy with her indecision. She had spread very expensive herbs in her room. Even so, Isla felt that maybe it was better for them to wait for the academy staff to handle it. Elvira certainly did not agree with that. If the herbs were not collected in time and preserved with magic, their properties would change. Such a small difference could change the results of the experiment. They certainly knew what she meant, right? Taylor, who saw that, felt worried, and immediately asked Isla to stop Elvira, who wanted to enter the Awfulest Hall alone. Isla could only laugh unwillingly at that. She then suggested, what if they just let her? Elvira was the leader of the alchemy faculty, so she felt she could definitely be alone. But what Taylor meant was not that. It was not Elvira who was in danger, but the lower-ranked students. He was worried that Elvira would go crazy and spray whatever reagents were in her hands. Hearing that, they then together tried to stop Elvira, but it was useless. Elvira then told them to stop talking, and invited the two of them to break through with her to her room on the 4th floor. Isla then asked, "So we just need to go to your room, we don't need to do anything else?" Elvira said yes, as long as the herbs are safe. If there are people blocking the way, we have to break through. And when Elvira forcefully broke down the door, she was then surprised when she saw who was inside. Ed was sitting as if he was waiting for them. Taylor then asked why he was in the Wifus hall, and Elvira seriously looked at him. She then analyzed the situation, the traces of a group of students passing by, a carelessly placed cupboard, and its position with its back to the stairs. Based on all these things, she came to a conclusion. With a faint smile, she found this interesting. She didn't expect this. She then asked, did he want to stop them? Ed didn't deny it, and said that they couldn't go through here. Elvira found this interesting. But did he think he could stop her if she said she was going to break through? She did hear from Zix that Ed had a high magic proficiency, but what he mastered was only basic magic. On the other hand, they had a capable swordsman, a magician who could use magic at the level of a typical first-year student, and an alchemist who showed the best ability this year. She didn't think the three of them would lose to Ed. Taylor then asked what his purpose was. He also told him to tell them what happened upstairs right away. Ed just stayed silent hearing that. Seeing his silence, Taylor then decided to immediately rush to attack and force him to talk. Seeing Taylor who rushed towards him, Ed then threw a chair, but his throw was easily dispelled by Taylor. Elvira looked at their battle and seriously analyzed it. Judging from the flow of the mana, it was just basic magic. Because he was a magician, Elvira felt that Ed must be targeting Taylor who was good at close combat, but she was then surprised when she saw Ed instead throwing the wind blade upwards. It then broke the chain that supported the chandelier in the sky. Taylor could only stare blankly at the chandelier that was about to fall on him, until finally the chandelier fell, which then caused a devastating effect. But fortunately Taylor could avoid it quickly. The students in the Wifus hall also heard and were surprised by the sound. Clebius also anxiously asked what happened outside. Taylor then worried when he saw Isla who fell. He then told Taylor not to worry, she only fell because of the shock earlier. Taylor then asked about Elvira's condition. Elvira told him not to worry about her. Their view was a little blurry because the impact of the chandelier's fall caused dust to fly, and a wind blade then came towards Elvira, which then cut her hair. She was then very surprised by that. The wind blade also cut the shoulder strap of her bag, which made her bag fall. She felt a little panicked at this time and realized that Ed was really serious. She was also sure that something was happening above, and when the flying dust slightly disappeared, Ed who had been in front of them suddenly disappeared. Elvira then glanced at her fallen bag, which contained potions that were now scattered on the floor. She then tried to pick up the potions, but Ed then recited, ignition, and a burning fire suddenly burned the entire room where they were. The battlefield was set up, so naturally almost like water flowing. Elvira realized the seriousness of the situation they were now facing. Ed's decision-making was very agile and accurate. She then blamed Zix for not telling them the details about Ed completely. This man not only had a high magic proficiency.
So, friends, this chapter comes to an end. What will happen next? We'll uncover it in the next chapter. Don't forget to rate this chapter out of 10 in the comments. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.